Hello and welcome to this week's weekly market focus fundamentals on the 12th of December 2012. Well, on a fairly momentous week last week with the big meetings that were going on in the latter part of the week, European leaders have outlined proposals to stabilise the Eurozone. They have agreed on tightening fiscal union to bring forward the European Stability Mechanism, the ESM, a permanent fund that replaces the existing EFSF to July 2012, and to increase the IMF involvement by providing an extra 200 billion euros in funding. Obviously, as most of you are probably aware, the UK did not agree to the measures, effectively blocking the route from complete treaty change. So, I mean, obviously, as a country, as a decision from David Cameron, we've moved away from the table, and a lot would argue, was that a wise thing to do? Or, was he just looking for his own office, really? But that's the decision. Rumours were also there was a Chinese investment vehicle that may become involved in the Eurozone's bailout. It sort of bolstered the mood on Friday, as we saw a fairly strong to the markets come closing on a Friday. But whether this is a fix, whether this would help the uncertainty and the stability of the area, is really yet to really come out. There's lots of pessimism still out there. A lot of analysts are still saying we're gonna, we're going to be when we're talking about this same time, the same thing, the same time next year. So, well, there's been some sort of effort, let's just say that, and whether it's going to really help with any stability really remains to be seen. Volumes are getting a lot more lighter now as we're getting into the sort of the Christmas latter part of December period. Markets this morning slightly down, as you can see. So obviously a lot of this news now has come through. It's not really exactly wowed the markets, but FTSE, DAX, Dow, S&P, some of the main indices are all showing losses this morning. So the economic outlook for this week in the US, if I just quickly take you to our calendar, will force their way really in talking about the US. Tuesday's policy meeting for the Federal Reserve is one of the main highlights of the week. That will be on, if I can just show you. That's the 7:15 meeting there. Retail sales from the US, obviously, is always a sort of a figure, especially with the big Black Friday, as I saw with the figures that were coming out on the previous month's big sale day, just from the American holiday, and the core retail sales also fairly decent figure to look out for. UK Tuesday, we've got the inflationary data, CPI, RPI, and the core are CPI. Again, these are fairly decent market movers. One must certainly keep a note out for. Today, fairly light on any sort of data. We've got Mervyn King, who will be obviously talking today, but whether he's going to come out of anything in his dialogue is anything to be seen. European data, obviously, it's with the cut that we saw, which was possibly most expected on Thursday. UK holding rates as they were, but the European rates decision wasn't exactly a surprise, but something that was possibly needed, as a lot of analysts had previously reported. Moving on to Wednesday, really, we've got the UK claimant counts in terms of unemployment data. It'll be interesting to see how that sort of bit of a lagging indicator, but the unemployment rate also standing firm at 8.3%. Moving on towards really the latter part of the week now, and a lot of the German figures will be coming out late part of the week in terms of the PMI and the retail sales that were coming from the UK as well. So again, just pre-Christmas to see how some of the UK retailers have been faring just the run up to Christmas. Obviously, this number is not really significant. It'll be the numbers we get for January will be interesting to see how some of the poor retailers are really how they're really how the sales during this Christmas period have really developed. So that's a sort of a number we'll be really looking out for. And moving on to some of the US stuff, we've got unemployment rate, unemployment claims as per usual on a Thursday, and PPI and current account, which is a fairly decent figure to look at, and the Empire Manufacturing, slightly decent figure. We're looking for 3.1 versus 0.6, and we've got the TIX data a bit later on, followed by the Philly Fed a bit later at the 3 o'clock UK time. Again, a fairly decent data there. We're looking at 5.1 as opposed to 3.6. Friday, fairly tame day, although we do have US inflationary data here with the CPI, and really not much to speak about out of Europe apart from the trade data. So all in all, fairly tame weeks economic outlook in terms of some of the data that's coming out. But still, obviously it seems like it's not anticlimactic, but it seems like all the push for this meeting that they were going for last week, it's going to be an interesting end to this year now to see how things are really going to be moving forward, or whether the markets are convinced, and whether investors are certainly convinced of what's happening in Europe is the right step forward. So as we move into December, as I said, volumes will certainly be thinning out, and you might see a lot more sporadic and a lot more volatile moves. So please be aware of that. Obviously certain data will make the market move, but when volume is a lot thinner, those moves will be magnified slightly more than a normal sort of volume traded day. But I'll actually speak to you next week, so have a good trading day. Thank you very much.